Springs, California, and our Way to a Wonderful Life message for today is titled, That for Which I Am Grateful, I Can Never Be Denied. That for which I am grateful, I can never be denied. And the mystical Ernest Holmes tells us in the Science of Mind and Spirit, it has been said that the prayer of thanksgiving is the prayer of appropriation. This was the manner in which Jesus prayed when he raised Lazarus from the tomb. Father, I thank thee, he said. Recognition, unification, and realization are the three steps in prayer. When we speak the words of thanksgiving to the God within us and the God that created us, knowing before they ask, I will answer, there is something in this attitude of thanksgiving that carries us beyond the field of doubt into one of perfect faith and acceptance, receptivity and realization. Appreciation, gratitude, and thanksgiving, the motive power which attracts and magnifies the hidden potentialities of life. That's from Ernest Holmes, from the Science of Mind and Spirit. That simple statement, that for which I am grateful I can never be denied, gives power to our decisions and focuses our mind on what we have accepted for ourselves. Gratitude provides the avenue in which our heaven takes its place on earth. In other words, our good desires become manifest. That is the good that we dwell on and choose for ourselves, even though it has yet to materialize in our experience. Being grateful for what we have is wonderful and connects us with the Spirit. As the Mastermind Jesus said, he who has much will have even more still, but the multiplying factor in our mind must connect with the great unseen, the infinite, the invisible good that faith and trust elevates to acceptance and realization in our consciousness. Let's look at these words, let's listen to these words from the great Ernest Holmes from his book, This Thing Called You. He tells us you are the only person you could ever know intimately. No one else knows what those good desires in your heart is. No one knows the level or the measure of your gratitude. No one else knows the measure of your faith. So you are the only person you can ever know intimately. You are the one with whom you must live eternally. This prayer is for you this morning. So let's know that we are the thinker, we are the center of thought patterns, we are the master of our faith, and this we must exercise every day, every day. We must cultivate, foster, and nurture faith. We must know that faith is the substance of things hoped for. In other words, faith draws to us all the ideas. It opens the door of opportunities. It creates for us an environment in which all good things are attracted to us, and we become a magnet for the good. As we go through our day, we can realize that only good goes from us and only good can come to us as we know this in faith. So let's listen to these words. I believe with a deep inward calm that my word of faith is the execution of spiritual law in my life. I know that my word penetrates any and every unbelief in my thought. It casts out every fear, every doubt, and permits that which is enduring, perfect, and true to enter into my consciousness. I have complete conviction that my thoughts are not only true, but they will be carried out in my experience with mathematical certainty. I have absolute reliance upon the law of good, which is the law of God. I know that the Spirit, which is life, is present everywhere. Like the air I breathe, it presses against me. It's on the mountaintop, in the valley, the desert, and on the ocean. It is ever present. I accept this presence with complete confidence. I believe that the law of good will bring everything desirable into my experience. Today I proclaim my divine inheritance. I am rich with the richness of God. I am strong with the power of God, and I am guided by the wisdom of God. I am held in the goodness of God today. The Spirit of God is an undivided and individual wholeness. It fills all time with its presence and people's space with the activity of its thought. It is, of course, difficult for the human mind to understand the meaning of such an all-encompassing presence. But let's say it one more time. I am rich with the richness of God. I am strong with the power of God. I am guided by the wisdom of God. I am held in the goodness of God today. Let's know this and let's believe this and say, I do believe this. I do accept this. I do realize that this brings into my life experience something amazingly wonderful. If I hold this thought in my mind and remain steadfast with it, I shall see the good results of it. We already know that we live. We know that our life is peopled with events and persons coming and going, happenings that take place in our everyday experience, the thoughts in our own mind, the activities of our own affairs, the circulation of blood in our own body. Don't we think this is a place to begin? We already understand the presence of life, so it is not difficult after all to go that next step. So our endeavor then is not so much to find God as it is to realize God's presence and to understand that presence. This presence of God is always with us, and that means the presence of good. Nothing can be nearer to us than that which is the very essence of our being. Our outward search for God culminates in the greatest of all possible discoveries, the finding of God at the center, the living Spirit, at the center of our own being. Life flows from within us out into our world and body of affairs as we accept and believe God's goodness, God's power, and God's Spirit reigning supreme in all things that concern us. So we know that every one of us have a potential for more good. And we can say good and more good is mine and ever-increasing good is mine, and know that this ever-increasing connects our mind with the potentialities of the unseen good that has yet to be made visible in our experience. And what will that good be? Well, we know what it is. It's going to be coming from those desires of our heart. But sometimes that desire that we recognize just symbolizes that greater good, that increase of good, that expansion of good, and it's not necessarily going to be exactly that thing that it is. But as we put our faith and our trust in God, as we depend on God as our source, as we depend on God, not person, place, or thing, and look to God for everything, ask God for everything, and expect everything, then we shall see some amazing and wonderful things in our life, even greater than what our human mind can conceive. This ever-increasing, once again, connects our mind with the potentialities of the unseen good that God has yet to be that God has yet to make visible in our experience. We should repeat this statement 1,000 times a day if we can. Good and more good is mine, and ever-increasing good is mine, for God is the good, is the source of my good, and God in His infinite goodness loves me with an everlasting love, and that love seeks to give me this day my daily bread, to give me those good desires of my heart, to give me that freedom and liberty to enjoy this thing called life in a greater way. So I let God's goodness fill my heart, fill my mind, fill my soul, and I let myself feel that love of God in myself and in all people that I come into contact with, and in every situation and condition that I may find myself experiencing. Every situation or circumstance that we find ourselves in didn't happen overnight, but through a pattern of thought and belief that created something for us automatically. When we make the decision to have more, to be more, to do more, then we must go through the process of creating new patterns and impress the subconscious with more. As we elevate our thought to the unseen good, to God, we activate the change. We activate the change, but it will not affect the change without repetition and discipline of our thoughts and intelligent reasoning of the beliefs that we have accepted. In other words, most of us have so much habitual thinking going on in our mind that we're not even aware that it's habitual. How many times have we felt ourselves wanting something so desperately that we felt a sense of desperation that we wouldn't get it? How many times have we felt ourselves needing something that our mind was so filled with doubt that we couldn't get it? But we must eliminate that doubt and displace it with that good thought. That's why Jesus says, look to God for everything. Keep your eyes stayed on God, on the good, and all things shall be added unto you, because we allow ourselves to feel that strength and joy of knowing that God is responding to us as our mind is stayed on God and on the good. If we don't keep our mind stayed on God and the good, then those old creepy feelings of doubt and worry and concern come in, and it delays our good and moves us out of that experience of feeling that gratitude and knowing that for which I am grateful I can never, ever be denied. Now, the great Norman Vincent Peale stated, repetition of the same thought or physical action develops into a habit which repeated frequently enough becomes an automatic reflex. And this is reiterated by Claude Bristol's statement, it's the repetition of affirmations that leads to belief, and once that belief becomes a deep conviction, things begin to happen. And so here we find the potentialities of recognizing what we are grateful for and expressing thanksgiving not only for the good, but also for the source of all good, which is God. The source of all good, which is God. It is in creating this receptivity for good that keeps our mind open for an ever-increasing good. To better understand this necessity for repetition of positive words and affirmations and prayers of gratitude and thanksgiving, we can look to a recent study done by some English researchers. They wrote, there has been much speculation about whether people can process emotional information unconsciously. For example, pictures, faces, and words. We have shown that people can perceive the emotional value of subliminal messages and have demonstrated conclusively that people are much more attuned to negative words. The study leader, Professor Nili Lavi, said in a Wellcome Trust news release, people are much more attuned to negative words. Well, we see that in our world. We see all this divisiveness. We even have TV networks and radio stations that are so devoted to negativity that for any little positive thing you may get from it, there's no way it can eliminate all the negative stuff that you get from it. We got to stop the negativity. Stop being concerned with the things outside of us and start realizing that it's that unseen that going through our mind, those unseen thoughts and affirmations and positive expressions and faith in our own mind that creates our world in which we live. Just as Jesus said, the kingdom of God is within you. That means the kingdom of good is within you. Don't let that thoughts and images and the ideas and beliefs in your mind create a kingdom of hell within you, because you can do that too. Jesus knew that. Every great teacher knew that, but he didn't speak to the negative. He didn't speak to the evil. He said, hold in your mind and your faith, hold in your belief system, hold in your heart that for which I am grateful, I can never be denied, because gratitude links us to God. Gratitude keeps our mind stayed on God, stayed on the good, and we shall experience that more and more good, that ever-increasing good, and we just let that become the law of our life. And we can do that. We can do that if we are willing to do it. Let's go back and look at these words again. I believe with a deep inward calm that my word of faith is the execution of spiritual law in my life. I know that my word penetrates any and every unbelief in my thought. It casts out fear, removes doubt, and permits that which is enduring, perfect and true, to enter into my consciousness. I have complete conviction that my thoughts are not only true, but that they will be carried out in my experience with mathematical certainty. I have absolute reliance upon the law of good. I know that the Spirit, which is life, is present everywhere. Like the air that I breathe, it presses against me. It's on the mountaintop, it's in the valley, it's in the desert, and in the ocean. It is ever present. I accept its presence with complete confidence. I believe that the law of God, which is the law of good, brings every desirable thing into my experience. Today I proclaim my divine inheritance. I am rich with the richness of God. I am strong with the power of God. I am guided by the wisdom of God. And I am held in the goodness of God today and every day. And so it is. Amen.